Hey there, everybody. I hope you're having a good day in your little corner of the world. Been having a pretty good day in my corner of the world. I have been thinking about something that we are taught from a very young age, or at least something that we assume, and that is, as children, we assume that the adults have all the solutions, or the adults have all the answers, or the adults know best. And then you grow up and you become the adult, and you realize that, joke's on you, kid, adults don't know shit, right? We don't know anything. Most of us, all of us, are improvising day by day, doing the best we can, and sometimes our best may not be the best for everybody else that is involved in our lives. But nonetheless, we do what we think is best. But it's so complicated and so strange, because the more I learn, the more I know, the more questions I have, the more I explore not just myself or other people, but the world I live in, the more perplexed I become. That is because there's just so much complexity, and it seems like in this life, things never really get boring if you really learn to see what's right in front of you. Like, observe it and be present with this moment. It's not as mundane as you may think. It's actually pretty mystical and wonderful. I think there are no words to really express this experience, but I've experienced it a couple of times. Well, more than a couple of times. But of course I forget, and then I fall back into this rut of living my life on autopilot. I think most of us as kids grow up in school systems that don't really support our growth. I don't mean growth as in how you will behave around society, although it's important to learn how to respect your peers. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the growth of your soul. And that may sound mundane, or that may sound woo-woo. That may sound like, what do you mean by soul? Define soul. Well, I think there is no one definition to soul. I think it's just discovering your essence, discovering what makes your heart dance, discovering how you want to express yourself in this lifetime, in this game that we are in this dimension that we find ourselves in, that we don't really understand. But nonetheless, we're here, and we have to learn to express ourselves the best way we know how. And most school systems don't promulgate that. You are just molded to, you're taught to become a functional human being, but not functional as in conducive to your own growth, but conducive to the growth of society, the society that has been built by, we can say 1%, but if we go back in history, it's much more complex than that. But nowadays, in modern times, kids are pumped in and out of schools to learn how to be a functional human being for the people that have money and that write their paychecks, the 1%ers. When we are kids, the reason why I brought up the adults know best, that idea that as a child you believe that adults have all the answers, is because we never really stop believing that. Even when we quote unquote grow up or we become adults, we never stop believing that the adults know best, because we believe that, for example, people believe that politicians can save them, or that a politician can fix a country, can fix a system, or that the politicians know best, or that your elected representative knows best, or that the policymaker knows everything about what policy to implement that will be conducive for everybody. Of course, I'm not going to deny many of these elected representatives and many of the people that have high platforms. Nowadays it's a little bit different, but it used to be that there were qualified individuals that had the background, and not just the academic background, but the professional background to lead a country. And so, nonetheless, they are working with their own biases, and we all have our own biases. But anyway, we never really stop believing that idea that the adults know best, because we believe that there is somebody, or sometimes even a system, that is the best system, the solution, the answer, and then we implement that and we realize that yeah, it may have fixed some things, but it broke some other things here and there. And so we never really know best. None of us do. And I think if people, especially those that have platforms, started to show a little bit of humility, that yeah, they don't know everything there is to know and they're trying their best, I think a lot of people would respect that. Because a lot of people would also look at themselves and realize, like, hey, I don't really know what's best for my own life, for my own family, for my own self, right? But I'm trying my best, and we all are. And instead of creating an individualistic society, we should create a more collaborative community, and a community that lifts each other up and just, I guess it's utopic to believe that, because we all have different temperaments. And I also don't like the idea of sterilizing society where everybody is kumbaya, peace and love kind of thing, because the truth of the matter is that what's that George Strait song? Takes all kinds to make the world go round. It does. And consciousness, I think that's what it wants. It wants to explore itself through many, 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 many different lenses. And it never wants to sterilize. It wants to diversify and see the variety. So it'd be foolish to believe that there is a possibility for some kind of utopia. But I do believe that most of us can remember our essence and wake up to that. And when you remember what makes your heart dance, what makes your heart sing, you're able to express yourself in a more authentic way. in a way that is freeing and liberating for you, your life, how you want to express it, how consciousness wants to create and play in this lifetime with your unique lens, that unique piece of mosaic, how it wants to be shaped and what color it wants to be. So, hey, we don't know best, and we're just doing the best we can, right? So, do the best you can today, and I will too. I hope you have a great day. Peace and love. Bye.